Hello. Tip number 4 in our Conferring series, keep a trail with notes. So many times when teachers start thinking about conferring, they feel so overwhelmed. And even when they get started, they kind of back up because they feel overwhelmed. They don't know who to go to. They don't know what they're going to say when they get there. And it kind of prevents them from moving forward. And that is why I had one of my first tips be to keep a checklist, because it kind of gets you in the habit of at least knowing who you've been with and who you need to go to next, so that you can start to see how many students you're able to work with each day, how well your schedule goes each week, and how you might need to adjust that. And so once you feel comfortable with doing that, you can now and you've started to think about like what students need next, you can start to think about how you can start to take notes about your conferences. Now, it's going to require you to find something that's going to work for you as far as how you want to take your notes. So we talked before about how you might want to take them in the moment, or you might want to do it at the end of the session or at the end of the day, where you just jot down what you did for those students. Because remember, you're only going to meet with a few kids a day. Or it might feel helpful to you if you have time to just be able to jot a couple things that you talked about or that they were working on. So remember, we talked about the compliments. So that's always something that you can track in your notes, because it's going to show what they're doing right now, what they're doing well. And as you take notes, you're able to keep seeing those things over and over again. And then you're also going to start to think about like what's going to come next for them. And then eventually when you're actually teaching them, maybe what the teaching point is. There are so many different templates of writer's workshop or writing, note taking, or templates for conferring that you can look at. I'm not even going to begin to show or share some of them, because I would almost start by just like a piece of paper or just like a list, because you want to start thinking like, how is this working for me? But there are some templates out there that'll say like compliment, teaching point, or what's happening now, what's going on next. But you want to think about whether you want it to be digital or like a hard copy that you could write on. Some people have done it in, like I said, on their grade book, they did an assignment for that week, and then they would go in and put the notes that they were doing for each student. So whatever is going to work for you, and you really are going to have to experiment. So I don't want you to get frustrated if you start something and it doesn't seem to be working. I've used many different things for my note taking for conferring, and I've seen my teachers use a few different things. However, it is so helpful to be able to take notes once you find something that's comfortable for you, because what I see and hear over and over again is that teachers say, even when they're conferring for a while, they'll say, I just don't know what to work on, or my students really aren't getting this, or, I feel like I'm not hitting my students the way I want to. And then I say, oh, well, have you been taking notes? Or have you been keeping track? And they'll say, no, I haven't really started that yet, or I started, but it wasn't working. So, and I understand, because you try something and it's not working and you're not sure what to try next and you get frustrated with it. And I understand that. But it is important to find and keep trying until you find the system that will work for you, because taking notes for conferring does two things. One, it gives you direction, and two, it tracks student progress. So the direction piece is twofold. One, it literally helps you see, just like your checklist, where you need to go that day or that week and what's happening. It also gives you direction, though, because it helps you to pinpoint what you want to talk about in that conference. So remember, the last tip was about trying to look ahead and think about what's next. So if you start to take those notes and you're writing what they're doing well and then what you think is going to come next, and you just kind of leave that there, and then the next time you go to confer with them, you think, is this something that I might be able to talk to them about? And then it's going to help you with your teaching point. So it does give you direction in what you're actually going to be doing. And then that second point was tracking student progress. So as you take notes and you start to look back at them, you're going to see, oh, wow, they were really staying strong in this, or they were doing really well with this, and then they started doing really well with this. I can see that they're, really solidifying their learning there. Or you might see this keeps coming up over and over again. So it's really going to help you to see what that student is doing. And then really, if you're able to look at it as a whole, you can see how your class is really holding on to concepts and it's going to help to guide your instruction. So, when you are able to take notes, you're going to have a better direction of where to go, what to teach, and then seeing the student progress. And the only other thing I was going to say is when it comes to note taking, you can think about it as a class sheet where every time you go to confer for that week, you can see everything that the students are doing on one page, or it could be an individual sheet. And the difference with that is that you can start to just easily, when you go to that student, you're just looking at that student's page and you can see what happened before and before that. When you tend to have one that's the whole class, you have to kind of keep looking back on different sheets to see how the kids are doing. So those are the two major differences I see between individual sheets and whole class sheets, but you could find either one. So I invite you to give it a try. Start writing down some things, even if you're not quite into the teaching point yet, and try to play around with what kind of note-taking strategy is going to work the best for you. And remember, one of my favorite quotes from Jen Jones is, you don't get good and then start, you start and then you get good.